I still remember the first time I saw him. It was just another tiring shift at KFC, my hands sore from packing meals, my apron smelling of fried chicken. Customers came and went, barely noticing me beyond their orders. But then he walked in. He wasn't like the others. He carried himself with a confidence that filled the entire room. A well-fitted suit, an expensive watch, a presence that demanded attention. He looked like he belonged to a different world, one I had no place in. And yet when he stepped forward, his eyes met mine. Not in a passing glance, but like he actually saw me. "Hi," he said, his voice smooth, polite. "Can I get a classic Zinger meal?" I nodded, quickly punching in the order, trying to keep my hands steady. My heart pounded, not because of who he was, but because for the first time someone looked at me like I mattered. Days passed and he kept coming back. Not just for the food, I could feel it. His eyes would search for me the moment he entered, and when I handed him his meal, his fingers would brush against mine just a second longer than necessary. One evening, as I wiped down the counter after a long shift, I heard his voice again. "Do you ever take a break?" I looked up, surprised. "Not really. Work keeps me busy." He smiled, leaning slightly against the counter. "I don't know much about working shifts, but I do know that even the hardest workers deserve a break. Maybe, with a coffee." I laughed softly, shaking my head. "I don't think we live in the same world, sir." His smile faded slightly, but his eyes held something warm. "The world isn't about where you're born. It's about the people you choose to let in." That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying his words. Could someone like him really see someone like me? Weeks passed and he never stopped coming. And then one evening, as the rain poured outside, he waited. I clocked out and there he was, standing near the entrance, holding out an umbrella. "Walk with me," he said softly. I hesitated, but something inside me whispered, "Just once." Under that umbrella I felt something I had never felt before. Seen, cherished. He listened to me, laughed at my silly jokes, and when I asked him why he kept coming back, he just said, "Because you make my world feel real." But reality wasn't a fairy tale. People talked. My coworkers warned me. Guys like him, they don't fall for girls like us. I wanted to believe they were wrong, but deep down fear crept in. What if I was just a phase? One day he didn't show up. Then another. And another. My heart felt heavier with each passing day. Maybe they were right. Maybe I had just been a moment in his life. A fleeting curiosity. And then, just when I had convinced myself it was over, he walked in. Not in his usual suit, not with the same composed look. This time he looked nervous. His hair was messy, his tie loosened. He stepped up to the counter, ignoring the line behind him. "I lost a big deal today," he said, breathing heavily. "Millions of dollars. But I didn't care. Because the only thing I was thinking about was you." My breath caught. "I don't care what anyone says. I don't care where you work, where you come from. All I care about is the way you make me feel. And if you'll let me, I want to know more about your world, your dreams, your life." Tears stung my eyes. This wasn't a fairy tale. This was real. And maybe, just maybe, love wasn't about matching bank balances. Maybe it was about finding someone who made your world feel less lonely. And as I stepped out from behind the counter, placing my hand in his, I knew this was just the beginning of something neither of us could have ever expected.